Hello lovelies, I am the Fragnostic, and I sincerely hope you have put to rest any business you might have in the bathroom prior to this week's Retro Rumble 2, Alone in the Dark, developed and released by Infogrames in 1992. It's a long motherfucking playthrough, and if you're anything like Alone in the Dark itself and you've aged somewhat badly, the last thing I want is for you to get halfway through and piss all over yourself. Unless you're comfortable with that, in which case, good for you. Life certainly gets a lot easier when you're not carrying the shame of public urination on your shoulders. In fact, it's an excellent way to excuse yourself from unwelcome social gatherings and move ahead quickly in some queues. Don't waste time thanking me, just go and be free. I long for the day I can stroll into a Tesco Express and watch the staff losing their minds over 30 or 40 shoppers and nonchalantly making toilet all over the floor like a herd of wandering cattle, but enough about what I'll pay you good money to do on my face. Let's get into the beef and potatoes here. 2 characters to choose from, each with their own unique prologue, and we're going to check out Emily Hartwood's first.
The attorney's letter came as a deep shock to me. My Uncle Jeremy had died by his own hand. The coroner's report was unequivocal. He hanged himself in the loft. Initial surprise and distress past, I considered the news. It seemed clear that Derceto had exercised a thoroughly morbid influence on my uncle's mind. That creaking old mansion with its unusual tales, its secret library door, the ancient upstairs clock, all those occult books that my uncle could not resist reading in spite of his fragile nerves. Fate had pointed its finger. Derceto had trapped its prey. Mr. McCarthy, the family lawyer, suggested selling the old house. I immediately opposed the idea. My duty is clear. I must go to Derceto. I tremble at the thought of those dark corridors, those brooding portraits. Yet I am convinced that Uncle Jeremy left a note, a letter of some kind explaining his fateful decision. I remember his voice saying, "Look at the piano, Emily. Look harder. Maybe the secret drawer will yield up an explanation. I have the feeling things will not be so simple. Life is a mystery containing more mysteries. Jeremy taught me that much. Now is the time to confront the mysteries. Derceto is waiting for me. I pray that my fear is nothing more than the fruit of my imagination. Nothing will ever persuade me that my uncle was insane. But why did he, according to the police report, block the loft window with the old wardrobe?"
Why indeed? Makes absolutely no difference who you decide to play as here. Both Emily and the second player character Edward Carnby have the exact same ordeal in Derceto Mansion, the exact same running speed, the exact same fighting stats. The only thing that differs between them is their opening prologues. It wasn't always going to be that way. Alone in the Dark, as you're about to see it today, was initially built to be Emily's adventure, this being her childhood home and everything. And Edward was going to have another quest entirely, but stay with me here. As I understand it, Infogrames were briefly in possession of the Call of Cthulhu RPG license from Chaosium, with a view to making this a full-on official signed and sealed Lovecraftian horror game, but Chaosium wound up breaking that off when they understood the in-game limitations they'd be working with. I think they wanted to go much farther down a traditional RPG road than they were going to get. And so Edward Carnby wound up being shoehorned into Emily's story, but they only ended up keeping in the game at all because they thought it would hook in an extra female customer base if they had a woman to play as. Which it didn't. We haven't started yet, by the way, don't worry yourselves. This is a very long and ponderous introduction that kind of walks your character up to the mansion attic in real time where Alone in the Dark begins, because I don't know, it doesn't trust you to do it yourself, I guess. If any of you are indeed afraid of the dark, or just kind of afraid in general, afraid of life and all its cursed tricks, don't worry. Absolutely nothing in this game is as terrifying as this close-up of the character model. By the ironic carpentry of Christ, that's something else, isn't it? Emily Hartwood's the original Pyramid Head. She looks like she swallowed the puzzle box from Hellraiser and tried to solve it with her tonsils. I hope you're paying attention here, by the way. We're going to call back to this particular moment of the introduction when we come back down this corridor later. One more staircase. Go on, go. I like to play as Edward just for the sake of continuity, as he wound up being the official franchise protagonist, but as you'll see in a second, his reason for being at the mansion is somewhat shabbily conceived. Right then, take it away, Eddie.
On my door, a dull brass plate says Private Detective. The few friends I have call me Carnby. The others call me the Reptile. I don't care to think what my banker calls me. These days, I leave my letters unopened. Bills and threats to send in the receivers just ruin my day. When an antique dealer called Gloria Allen contacted me, I slipped into my best shirt, holstered my .38, and got to her shop as fast as I could. I was expecting something sordid. Blackmail, probably. Boy, was I wrong. What I was asked to do was visit a property called Derceto and find a piano in the loft. It was an old piano with secret drawers, the kind people who buy stuff in antique stores go crazy over. The Derceto house is supposed to be piled high with classy junk, furniture, books, paintings. It looked like whoever owned Derceto was about to get cleaned out. I was going to bring up the subject of money when Gloria Allen handed me $150 and a key. I kept myself from grinning at the thought of my banker's surprise. He doesn't like his victims getting away. I looked over a copy of the police report. The former owner of Derceto, a guy called J. Hartwood, had hanged himself in the loft. The coroner concluded it was a clear-cut case of suicide. I promised Gloria Allen I'd give the place a look over. My report will be ready in a couple of days. I've been reading up on the history of the old house. It's the kind of place ghosts run away from in terror. Grisly murders, curses, lunacy. Luckily, devil worship makes me smile, so this is my idea of a paid vacation.
Yeah, that's sketchy, isn't it? This is the exact same intro, by the way, just with a character model swap. Same drive, same route through the house to the attic. Edward's incurring expenses already, throwing money at somebody to drive him there. Refuses to live within his means, does our Edward. Same ancestor of Frogger there. Frogger was a much easier game back in the 1920s. Galaxian not so much. You didn't have the technology to stop the aliens from invading back then. You just stood out on your lawn, throwing rocks at the sky and shaking your fist at them. Get out of here, you damn dirty ETs! But, yeah, that's the story we're running with. A private investigator's here to look for a piano. The fuck's he gonna do with it when he finds it? Carry it back to his office? Ride it through the fucking house and back to New York? From Louisiana? The fuck is happening? And what is this mysterious antique dealer, this Gloria Allen's claim on this piano? If it's legitimate, why wouldn't she just hire some much cheaper delivery drivers to go grab it for her? This is barefaced theft is what it is. I just gotta shoehorn in a couple of disclaimers before we get started here, lovelies. First, Alone in the Dark is an extremely plot-heavy game, and absolutely none of that plot is conveyed through cutscenes or naturally occurring dialogue. If you want to know what's going on here, you have to read the books and journals you find scattered around the mansion, and believe you me, there are a metric arseload of them. It would be no exaggeration to say that over half of the... that's the scariest fucking thing in the game, right there. Try and scrub that out of your goddamn nightmares. Over half of this run is going to be you listening to the admittedly quite nicely narrated mythology here, and not me. So, if you're not cool with that, run! Go now and forget you ever knew me. Second, I'm not playing live here. Always want to be straight with you about that, because, well, I had a hell of a time trying to record this, lovelies. Whenever you read a book in this game, it seems to jump to another API and it comes out all garbled and fucked up in the video. So I had to go back and re-record all the diaries and shit in here separately. So this is me chatting to you over around 2.5 playthroughs edited together. Alright, first thing we want to do here is shove the wardrobe in front of the window. You want to do anything in Alone in the Dark, you got to go into the menu and select the appropriate action before you can actually do it. Yes, it's exhausting. Yes, I still forget to do it all the fucking time, so I end up trying to open/search a zombie instead of kicking its teeth in. Move this chest over the trapdoor too. We're rearranging the furniture here to protect ourselves from a couple of monsters that are going to try and break in and fight us momentarily. That's some run, man. While we're waiting for them to show up, we'll grab all the shit we need out of the room. Here's an old Indian cover. Now if you can get out of the attic in under a minute, you don't have to bother barricading the room. Just grab the necessary items and run. But after that, one will come through the window. There he is. You see him hopping around out there. I appear to have a stool on my leg. There's stool all over my damn trousers! And that battle cry of trapped wind sufferers everywhere tells you the zombie is trying to get up from the trapdoor too. Get off me, you piece of shit! I have a root around in the chest here for a rifle. Incredibly useful. Limited ammo, so save it all up for anything that isn't a zombie. You won't have much to fight in Alone in the Dark, don't worry. Well, you won't have much to fight that you can actually kill anyway. There's that piano. What's the quickest way to get it out of here, do you think? Through the window? Enjoy this.
They are coming! I have freed hellish forces, and now the price must be paid. Der Seto is the prey of evil. The sun has set. They will find my body, but will not have my soul. I can imagine the master's fury and the terror in the hearts of his slaves. I hear their footsteps. Some may understand what I have done. May God forgive me. Farewell, Jeremy Hartwood.
So there, that's the level of voice acting you can expect from Alone in the Dark. I like it. It's impassioned. Keep your inventory uncluttered here. Make sure you chuck away all the shit you don't need. You can hurl most of it across the room. I'll show you that in a second because there's another bit of reading to do on the bookshelf here. That's where books live. It makes sense. And this one's The Myth of the Golden Fleece. Or a fragment
of the Myth of the Golden Fleece. Translation, Edouard de Villeban, Hesperides Publications.
Then Perseus came across Ichios, who had been turned into stone. He spoke to his companions and said, "Beware of the Medusa. He who looks into their eyes is doomed to the same fate as that which befell poor Ichios, and will never more set eyes on Seriphos." "Must we go blindfolded?" asked Emelopes. "Take up your bronze shields and polish them until they flash in the sun," answered Perseus. "Fill your hearts with courage. May Artemis guide us as though we were an arrow from her quiver." But Emelopes was not satisfied. "Why do that, Perseus? Is 3 inches of sharpened metal not enough to destroy these accursed creatures?"
Then Perseus drew his sword, which shone and glittered in the sun, and with it he dazzled Eumolpus. "Now what can you see?" the companions of Zeus' sons laughed. "Let us set to work, so that our shields may shine like mirrors."
Beautifully, beautifully read there. A glittering career in community theatre awaits. Here we are, watch this. Throw. Get the fuck! God damn it! And that's what happens like 95% of the time. Try and throw something, bounces off some invisible fucking barrier and winds up at your feet, begging you to pick it up again. You think you can just throw me away like a piece of goddamn trash, asshole? That entire parable of combat is actually a semi-obscure hint on how to defeat a couple of beasties we're going to run into before too long here. A little search of the shelves will give us the oil we need for the lantern that we grabbed in the attic, which we now have to fill up manually and then dispose of the can. Get out, son of a bitch. No, I don't want an empty oil can. Why would I ever want that? I will throw something without it looking like I've got some kind of muscular dystrophic disease, I swear to you. You will be both impressed and aroused. See that crack in the floor? Remember how we walked right over that to get up here in the introductory cutscene? You try that shit again and you go straight through it and plummet to your death. I am deadly fucking serious. What, did Edward get fatter in the space of 5 goddamn minutes? Actually, suppose I'm carrying more now, aren't I? That actually sort of makes sense. Wow, I've been mad about that for about a decade. I've only just figured it out right this second. I can't tell you the kind of peaceful satisfaction that's washing over me right now. Sometimes a zombie shows up in the doorway to that room. We got away with it that time. Not entirely sure what triggers it, to be honest, but we can't run forever. We'll have to make pals with the ugly son of a bitch this game calls a combat system sooner or later. Another zombie will definitely chase you into this dressing room if you don't shut the door right there, though. Zombies aren't too much of a hassle in the grand scheme of things. It's these fucking bird abortion monsters coming up that are the pain in the dick. Soon as you grab the vase, the little bastard breaks through the window. Caw-caw! Alright, now, you ain't got anything even remotely resembling auto-aiming alone in the dark, so shooting at anything can be incredibly frustrating if you don't try and lure it into a confined firing zone. 2 shots will do it, and there, everything turns into pretty bubbles when it dies in this game. Pretty flesh-coloured bubbles. Catch them on your tongue. That vase breaks before you even throw it. Before you're even out your damn inventory screen, you fucked it completely. But that's fine. We just need us the key inside of it. Use that on the dresser drawers here, while the teddy bear judges you, and it'll give you a small pair of mirrors. What was that? Fragment of the myth of the golden fleece? What lessons were you trying to teach me? Why did I hurl you so mightily to the ground? There's that zombie still trying to get in. They howl like werewolves for some goddamn reason. Here in the bathroom, you'll find a first aid kit and your first potion of the game. Now, you start off alone in the dark with 20 points to health, and these flasks will restore 10 of those points, but you might as well drink them as soon as you find them because your health can rise beyond those initial 20 points, so you'll only ever have as much health as you give yourself anyway. You're not going to waste anything by getting rid of them where you find them. But hey, threw something without it landing on my foot. Edward are learning. Sweet Christ. Flying scorpion demons. I don't know the official name for anything in this game. This has been poorly researched and I apologise. Thought I could survive on my wits alone for once, but here we are, making shit up. The 2 small mirrors will get rid of this pair of purple dipshits for you, but don't get too close and let them hit you. In fact, don't get in any fights whatsoever from the point you actually pick up the 2 small mirrors, because if you take any damage, the mirrors will break in your inventory and there is no way to repair them, which actually renders the game unbeatable. Amazing. Amazingly fair. This is the only time in the game they actually do that kind of thing to you, and it's fairly close to the start, so... That's the worst evil laugh ever, isn't it? That's like inbred aristocrat chortling at poor people. Into the living room now. There's a ghost just chilling in the armchair here. It's cool with you being here so long as you go nowhere near it, so long as you hug the walls like a motherfucker. Ignore that advice and it will turn into a giant spectral ball and chase you around the damn mansion until it kills you. We've just got the gramophone there, the most awesome item in the game. It has a legitimate use much later on, but until then, you can find vinyl records and use it as your own personal boombox. Really freaks me out how you can see the ghost's eye holes through the back of his fucking head, man. Picture of Uncle Jeremy and Emily Hartwood there. You know it was Emily if you listen to her prologue. Them's the kind of important plot nuances that I showed you her prologue to understand, you see. Well, I actually showed it to you because it pretty much tells you to shove that wardrobe in front of the window as soon as you land in the attic. Edward doesn't get that courtesy. But then does he really deserve it? Do filthy piano thieves deserve anything short of hanging? Searching that curtain makes it growl. That can't be right, can it? No, thank God, it's just a horrifying interdimensional abomination. Thank Jesus. You could live in a world where the very curtains are against you. By now we're beginning to understand that Uncle Jeremy probably didn't kill himself out of, boredom. But for a bit of additional clarification, here's Jez's diary.
Diary of Jeremy Hartwood.
September 27th, 1924. I have decided to keep this diary. Too many inexplicable events have taken place recently. Never have dreams so haunted my every waking moment. Perhaps my romantic mind was too dull, and has only now woken up to these new paths and visions. Some, seeing my recent paintings, may question my sanity. I can only ask them, what is sanity? Where does madness begin? September 28th, 1924. The night is pitch black. I am again drenched in sweat. I was wandering in the dunes, among giant standing stones. They were arranged in a circle, and the wind whistled about them. I plunged my hand into the soil and felt that repulsive thing which was trying to catch me. It seized me. I struggled to break free of its loathsome embrace and managed to tear my hand away. It was covered in sticky substance. I was gripping a knife. October 5th, 1924. The stone circle is a pentacle. Derceto's library is filled with books on the occult. I will study those books until I find some explanation for the dreams. The visions that haunt me must be connected to my discoveries. I shall have to undertake a profound exploration of my dreams. December 16th. Dear God, I have found the knife. It was hidden here, and what I have learned fills me with apprehension. It is a sacrificial dagger belonging to some unholy cult. The thought of that blade tearing through human flesh horrifies me, yet I must continue my research. Derceto is a storehouse of treasures. Was my father right, after all? January 23rd. I spend all my days plunged in dusty books. The servants are convinced I am mad. At night, I awaken them with my screams. The dreams are draining what sanity I still have. I have tried staying awake, but in vain. My visions have changed. No doubt the influence of my father's research. February 7th, 1925. The Dark Man, that is what I call him, has revealed his true face to me. He appeared, as usual, near the fireplace, but this time he approached me. His terrible smile will haunt me to my dying day. His breath was ice, and his burning eyes froze me. I could not move. I know, as surely as I have ever known anything, that the face I saw, the face that has turned my nights into hellish torture, is the mask of death. March 10th. My exhaustion is beyond description. The endless reading burns my eyes. It seems that pirates frequented the area. Dr. Herbert insists I keep to my bed. I have moved to another bedroom and sleep much better now. The dark man has not gone, however. I know it. He will wait for as long as he must. Unless I, Jeremy Hartwood, can find a way to send him back to whatever hell he comes from. March 11th. My poor knowledge of Greek and Latin is a serious handicap to my reading. I have, nevertheless, made a great step forward. I drew the symbol on the floor. He can no longer go there. I want him to understand that I can do the same thing in my bedroom. I can imagine his rage and frustration. Only last night he found his way back into my dreams. March 13th. The translation will seriously dent what money I have left. I cannot paint. My pictures are clearly the work of a lunatic. The collector Thornhill's embarrassed smile was proof of that. March 29th. He has come back. He found the door to my dreams. I am too weary to attempt any defense. I have no strength left to fight, and he knows it. He considers me dead already. Could I possibly? March 30th. How ironic! The cave my father sought for so many years is here, beneath the house. Waits. The butler discovered a crack in the cellar wall. A breeze blows in through it, icy and repugnant. I am filled with horror at the thought of my father dying in this place. I will carry to my grave the vision of his face contorted in the agony of that fatal heart attack. His body was twisted. He had wept. His fingernails were torn and bloody from scrabbling at the floor. Dr. Gray concluded that death had been due to a heart attack. It was Waits, who some time later was informed that my poor father had in fact bitten off his tongue and choked on his own blood. March 31st. I explored the caverns in a dream. The dark man came with me. Strangely, I felt almost well. How can I describe what I saw? No. What words are capable of explaining such evil? I realized that my death was of no interest to him. The dark man wants something else. He seeks a body. His avid servants are now free. I am the cause. It is almost funny. A curse is on Derceto. From the foundations to the very rooftop, I can no longer struggle, let alone eradicate the evil that grips the house. The end is very near, I can feel it. I have taken the decision to... May he who finds this diary pray for my soul.
Madness, madness all around. And pirates too. Get thee out of my pockets, foul notebook. A pox on thee, notebook! So there, with the sheer amount of reading you do in this game, at least it's very, very well written. This next part you gotta do fast, which really isn't easy with these shit-stick bastard controls. There's an invincible purple octopus in a bathtub that will slap you within seconds of you entering. Because of course there is. So you need to dash in, grab your items and get out. I advise making a couple of trips to get them both. Should be noted that if you don't want to do this part, neither the first aid kit or the jug are actually mandatory pickups here, but the jug especially will save you from taking a fair bit of damage later on. Yes, Edward, drink. grows strong, stronger than any man or beast, stronger than God himself. That piano must be retrieved. With the sheer amount of crap you end up towing around this game, you should buy a right to be strong enough to drag a piano back to New York anyway. Right, you get a handful of these rooms in Alone in the Dark where you need to have your lantern lit to see. The oil you fill it with is a limited consumable. Once it's gone forever, so you need to be as quick as you can in these places or life is going to be incredibly difficult for you come the end of the game. You can pop it on the floor, don't need to lug it around with you everywhere. These bullets are for the revolver you haven't got yet. The revolver will pull your ass out the fire if you accidentally fall in the water near the end of the game.
A Brightness from Afar, by Lord Boleskine, an account of his celebrated voyage to New England, 1824, Alistair Publications, Cambridge.
Following a splendid journey, the sunny harbour came into sight. The locals were much impressed with one's arrival in their midst. One had time to sketch several of them and notice signs of degeneracy. Some children showed one their queer hands that would inspire uneasiness. Upon the promise of a few coins, a child is undertaken to reveal to one a most prodigious phenomenon of a natural order. One admits to being skeptical as to the prodigiousness of the marvel, whatever it may be. Indeed, one suspects it to be little more than an evening stroll to some charming wooden hut situated in the forest hereabouts. One will none the less go, for it is always well to submit to such local enthusiasms. One admits to being somewhat flabbergasted. The Milky Way shone like the fires of the apocalypse from the inky celestial vault. Certain distant stars, normally invisible to the naked eye, were clearly visible, glittering indeed with a strange intensity. The heavy clouds that had settled above the village had no hold over that place. It would be pointless to offer here the names of the constellations one perceived in utter clarity. Apart from the interminable length of such a list, one might conceivably risk being charged with exaggeration. The cross cast its shadow on the ground. The sea in the distance was dead calm. Tonight, one will return to that spot and draw those stars. Tomorrow night, one will at last see Halley's comet in all its brilliance. The youngster will carry torches, despite one's developed sense of direction. Honed by years of travel, one feels incapable of finding one's way through the dark forest unaided. The drawings will, one is convinced, set light to the souls of men. Such a moon! One lost count of the craters, so sharply was their definition. Loath as one is to seem excessive in one's appraisal, one cannot but feel that the forest clearing is indeed a place outside the common laws of time and space. Surely it is not an hallucination. How strange to consider that idle conversation, some research in the British Museum, and a voyage to this backward village should culminate in so astounding a discovery. It may be that others have noticed the extraordinary nature of that place. How else could one explain the presence of that cross?
Note the New England setting there. Lovecraft country through and through. Even though they missed the license, Lovecraft is still an enormous influence on Alone in the Dark, most evident throughout the books and journals here. Some don't beat around the bush, they just reference the mythos directly. And sometimes if you try and drop something, the game will tell you there's no room to put it down. Another incredibly irritating quirk of the engine there. Not that you can moan really, this is the first pure-blooded third-person 3D adventure game ever attempted, so It's bound to have its wrinkles that have only deepened with age. God damn, it's deepened dramatically with age. Time to go and take care of that spooky suit of armor out in the lobby. And if you got too close to it before, it'd spring to life and attack you. But now, now we'll see who's got the big sweaty balls to chase who all over the damn house. Without any legs! Oh no, oh shit. Try again, Edward. You can't miss from here, surely. That's the ticket. Sir Nighty Night of Nightingham eats a face full of murder. And now, we got ourselves a sword we can actually use. We picked up the old cavalry saber back upstairs, but that'll shatter if you try to use it, which is a lovely surprise on your first playthrough when you go at one of the zombies with it. On guard, you rotten shit! You take a swing and the fucking thing just breaks in half and you're just left standing there like, God damn it. There's some arrows in here, 3 to be precise. They can be used with the bow we got, but we need them, so once again, ignore your natural instincts to use weapons for their primary purpose in this bloody game, or risk facing annihilation. You might wonder why I'm only running half the time here. All too happy to tell you. Getting Edward or Emily to run anywhere and alone in the dark requires you to double tap the forward key at such a precise tempo that if you can consistently nail it, a career in jazz drumming awaits you. It's not for lack of trying, I assure you. That pot of soup might look like a tasty treat that should be ours to devour by right, but it's actually made with human flesh, so I mean, I don't care if you don't, but it does save us some trouble in a few moments here. Get rid of all your shit. You gotta do this fairly regularly. It's pretty easy to become overburdened here and you're just forever picking stuff up. Some crap you don't even use, like the poker in the living room. It's just there to fill up space and make your life difficult. But you don't know that. You just tow the damn thing around until the end of the game because you're not going to risk having to go all the way back for it, are you? There. For once, biscuits are just biscuits. Alone in the Dark's going to let you enjoy a biscuit without punishing you for it. Right, as soon as you get into this coal room, you're on for another ambush, so I can finally show you a solid bit of hand-to-hand combat here. As soon as... There he is. Now, I don't think I actually killed anything with sheer pugilistic prowess alone in this playthrough. I always managed to duck fighting anything until I had the sword, but let me try and lay the combat out for you right here. It was painful back then, and it's painful now. First, you have to orientate yourself in the direction of whatever you're attacking and pray to God it stays there. Exactly the fuck there. Because there are no glancing blows in Alone in the Dark. If you're not square on with your target, you will miss and get the shit beaten out of you trying to recenter yourself. If you get hit, you go into a lengthy animation where you stagger backwards, and it can be very difficult to stop yourself from getting locked into a loop where you're being infinitely stunned by your enemies, especially those fucking bird monsters. And once you're facing the right way, you have to hold the space bar and then press the arrow keys for the attack you want. Unarmed, left or right will deliver a quick but very weak punch. Forward and back will deliver a slow but semi-decent kick. And don't get me wrong, it still takes 5 minutes to kick anything to death in this utter ordeal, so grab yourself a weapon or fall back on the rifle as soon as humanly possible. Alright, you got like seconds to do this if you don't want to get hideously mauled by the living dead. Give them their dinner and they'll all sit down and leave you alone, shaving about half an hour's worth of fighting off your playtime. They won't actually eat it, but they're begrudgingly reasonable, like, well, I guess you're right, we don't have to eat you now. You don't want me, boys. I'd say it's like a snuff box and moustache wax. Through here, you see why we got the jug of water. This phantom cigar is constantly filling the room with smoke that will gradually kill you if you don't put it out. Edward's a delicate fellow. He's much more vulnerable than Emily in the boss fight against the giant bong later on in the game. There, be gone and away with your foul habit. Grab the lighter there. Again, very important if you're clumsy near the finale and get yourself wet. And here's some Frederick fucking Chopin and another book.
Memories by Alistair Boleskine. Printed in London, A. Machin, editor, 1833.
It was during a conversation with G that one first heard of the New England fishing village of I. The area was apparently the ideal place from which to witness unusual phenomena in space. The quality of the air, along with the conjunction of several favorable factors, made one impatient to get started. Having gleaned what information one could from the British Museum, one set off with all haste. One's work on space and comets in particular had met with a warm response, and one thought it judicious to include several original sketches of the phenomenon, sketches which one felt were sure to arouse a great deal of keen interest in the scientific circles of 1834. One refers naturally to the passage of Halley's comet.
Editor's note: Lord Boleskine's memoirs end at this point. Who knows what extraordinary contributions he might still have made had he not succumbed during his visit to New England to dementia, followed by an early death in St. Andrew's Hospital.
Innsmouth from Lovecraftian lore making an appearance there, as well as mentions of comets. Lovecraft used to write quite extensively about comets in his non-fiction essays. The Chopin record we picked up is the first of many useless red herrings. They're just pleasant to listen to. Ah, sweet compositions of a master. Pick that shit up, heave it around like you're in some sort of backwards flippity-floppity land where rich people live in the hood and do drive-bys on horses with crochet mallets. Tally-ho, motherfucker! Well, that about wraps up the first half of Alone in the Dark there, Crusaders. Come on back next week for the remainder of this beast on Retro Rumble 2, as well as a return to the escapades of Sir Arthur in the brutal sequel to the already conquered Ghosts and Goblins, the arcade nightmare that is Ghouls and Ghosts. Sit down, octopus, before I come in there and piss all over you.